My name is Matt Carlos and we're using DaVinci Resolve. But before I jump into my tutorial, guys, I actually wanted to say thank you. The feedback I've been getting on all my videos is awesome, and it's helping me kind of figure out what exactly I want to explain next, and the group of people that are congregating to my stuff, like, it lets me know who they are and what I could possibly say to add value. So yeah, with that being said, I'm just yapping at this point. With that being said, I want to get into the split toning. So I was actually doing some experimenting right before I started recording. So I'm just going to reset everything I have right here, populate some nodes, and I'm going to make the curves bigger right here. Basically, with these curves, like I said in the contrast curve video, is bottom left is going to control your black point, top right is going to control your white point. This is also true for each of these individual color curves right here. You can put points on the curves by left clicking, and you can remove points by right clicking. Dragging up adds the respective color channel that we're working on, but also dragging down adds the inverse, with red's opposite being cyan, green's opposite being magenta, and blue's opposite being yellow. If you'd like to refine your adjustments specifically on every channel, these sliders right here, actually someone commented on these. These sliders are strange because 100 means on, 50 means off, and 0 means invert. So if I actually drag down on this blue curve to add yellow to the image, and then I drag the slider on the blue to 50, it just turns it off. And then if I drag it to 0, it just inverts it all the way back up to blue. Now, this is useful because if I wanted to blend an adjustment, I could actually bring it down to 50 and then gradually bring it up to kind of smooth it out. I don't see a lot of people touch these controls, but these are fantastic. Now, you're probably wondering what this area that's a soft clip down here does. People usually use this to add fades to their highlights and their shadows. This footage doesn't really have a lot of high highlight points, but this high soft and this high actually compresses your highlights, and then respectively, this low soft smooths out your shadows, and this low point brings up your black point. Also, we're just going to go over some options right now. You can actually copy your adjustments to the luminance, red, green, and blue channels from respectively from where you're working. And also you could turn on your editable splines like I mentioned in the last video. And you could also populate default anchors all over the place. So let's just say you don't want to put your own points. You just want to manipulate a bunch of pre-populated anchors. You can actually turn this on. And then we have histograms. Honestly, I leave this off. If you select input, it shows the histogram on its way in to the workflow. And then if you put output, it shows the adjustments you're making. And honestly, I don't get a good indication of what's happening with my footage by looking at this. So I prefer to use my vector scope and my scopes. So I just leave this off. Also, I don't like having something behind my curve. I like being able to see a graph that is completely empty, just like this. And yeah, with those controls being explained, I think everyone should have a good grasp on how to control this thing now. We can get into split toning, and I'm just going to give a sample example of split toning. So let's just say we wanted to go for a teal and orange look on this footage right here. Also, it's best to split tone after you've done all of your color balancing, because once you have accurate colors to work with, then you can start going for your creative look. I'm going to put points on this graph. Let's start with the teal and orange look. I'm going to drag down to add cyan in the red channel on the shadow end. Then I'm going to drag up in the green, and then I'm going to drag up in the blue. And I'm going to finesse this a little bit. Boom, there we go. Now on the high end, let's go for the orange now. Oh, I actually should have brought this up. Use the colors you have to make the colors you want. So what colors make teal? Well, obviously green and blue, but also cyan, a little punch of cyan can help us. So dragging down the red channel helps as well. And we could also go to the red channel on the top end. What colors make orange? Well, that's going to be red, and that's going to be green, and a little smidge of yellow. And boom, we have a very smooth teal and orange split tone going on. This is going to affect different types of footage, obviously, because the tonality plays a big part, and your exposure and your contrast adjustments beforehand. Now, let's just say we wanted to tame this adjustment. You could go to each of these individual channels and turn them down towards 50, or if you'd like to control this entire adjustment on its way out from the node, you can go to the key output in this area over here and just turn this down and back up. Also, if you'd like to subdue the color bleed coming out from your midtones into your highlights and into your shadows, you can add more points on each one of these individual channels and limit where the colors are bleeding into. There were some YouTube tutorials that I actually saw about cleaning up your shadows. They'll say to go to your Luma versus Sat and drag down on this end, and that might work. However, you're removing information that I don't think that's a very clean way of doing it. So I prefer to go and just put more points on my graph, and let's just say maybe we want to clean up our blacks even more, I would just go ahead and go to my points and just limit this low end from being affected. There you go. Might not be able to see all the adjustments I'm making because of YouTube compression, but you will see it on your end if you follow along with me, if you're watching the video and you're trying to experiment with me. And also, I have a bonus. This will only work in a color managed workflow. So I'm actually gonna take a color space transform. I'm gonna put the input color space to Rec 709 because I know this footage was shot in Rec 709. I'm gonna change it to DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. I'm gonna copy paste this adjustment to the last node, and I'm gonna change this to my working timeline for the output. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking the Rec 709 signal, feeding it to a DaVinci Wide Gamut color space, and then shipping it out in a Rec 709 color space. And you're probably asking, well, why am I doing this? Well, I actually have a DCTL that I'm gonna link you to in the description, and it does have instructions on how to install it. So just follow the instructions when you open it. You're gonna go to DCTL in your effects on the top right, and I'm gonna go to mono middle gray, and then I'm going to select DaVinci Wide Gamut in here. This is going to put a gray card on the screen. This is insanely awesome because if you click on this while the curves are open, it puts a point exactly where middle gray is. So you don't have to figure out where that is in your color space. And the cool part about it is I can select any of these color spaces to work in. There's S-Log3, there's Fuji F-Log, there's Canon Log, there's RA Log, there's Blackmagic Design Film Gen 5. There's a lot of stuff here to work with. There's even linear right here. So I'm going to get rid of this DCTL. And now that I have this point right here, I can then go to do my split toning from here, and it's not going to affect the middle gray point of my footage, which is awesome. And I don't really have to feel around for it. I know exactly where it is. This should speed up your color grading process in the future. And I'm going to put the link in the description for you guys to go and take this. I hope all the information helped today. If anybody has any questions or would like me to cover anything else in the future, I'd be more than willing to. And if there's anything I missed, I can answer it in the comments. Thank you everybody for watching my stuff, and I'm glad to be of service, and I'm glad that I'm helping you guys. All right, peace.